This is Norman Long here. I'd like to introduce the latest painting from Newcastle upon Tyne. It's now on view at the Hancock Gallery. It was painted in May. When I arrived in Newcastle for a few days painting, it was pretty wet, to say the least. So I didn't have a brolly at that point, so I found a nice spot underneath one of these bridges with a view of the Tyne Bridge. One of the things that drew me to the scene was this primary colour of the sandbox there and the homeless person with a nice blue sleeping bag and a red hat. So the primary colours, I'm always looking for colour. That seems to strike me when I'm looking at a scene. And it was pretty broad-reaching scene with a lot involved. But what I often do these days is use the panoramic feature on my phone so that it encompasses the whole scene in a sort of manageable view, and that helped me to compose the picture. You probably won't notice, but things are not exactly where they are in the painting. So the bollards and all those things have been shifted, and I'm quite used to taking some background things and making them bigger than they actually are. But in composing the painting, in making the first few marks on the board, so the surface of the board is covered in oil paint that's well dried now, but it gives a nice rough coloured surface to work on. And I think I'd done a bit of a sketch beforehand, but once I got into the composition of the painting, I realised that I wanted the shape of the tree to echo the shape of the arch of the bridge that I was under. And also the colours start to echo each other too. The colours on the left-hand side of the painting and the colours on the right-hand side of the painting start to echo each other. I like to keep paintings as light as possible, so the colour of the sky is pretty much white, maybe a tiny bit of pink in it or a little bit of colour, but pretty much white. The meanings of paintings seem to come out of doing them. It's not as if you have a meaning in mind beforehand, but I chatted a lot to this lovely young lady who was homeless, and it's hard to say she was begging because she never actually asked anybody for anything, but she just said hello to everybody who was walking past. And so I went and got her a drink and something to eat, and we chatted, and she talked about the various shelters that were available. One in the city centre, which wasn't so nice, but it's better to come into the city because you can get a little bit more money, and what she was thinking of doing with her life once she got things in order. Really lovely young lady. And as I was painting, the people come by and talk to me, and one gentleman came. It's not the gentleman in the painting, I must add, but he said, why have you painted that homeless person in it? And in a rather abrupt way, and it kind of took me aback because homelessness is part of life in most cities, and there's the celebrity of the Gateshead Sage Theatre on the opposite side of the Tyne there, and there's the good life of the Tyne side and of the quayside rather. And good nightlife and people come in and have a good time. But there's also the other side. So that's why the painting is called Two Sides of the Tyne. So you can have a closer look at this painting if you go on to hancockgallery.co.uk and click on Norman Long. So it's part of a group show with some other really good artists, some very good work. But you'll be able to get some really nice close-ups of these and other paintings if you go onto that site. These works will also be on view in person at Hancock Gallery throughout August 2023.